So the real question is, should you spend almost 11 hours meditating a day in rigid postures while not making any eye contact and not peeping a single word? Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Thrive Ada, the home of everything mind, body, spirit, so we can live our most inspiring and empowered lives. It is so good to have you guys back here with me. This week's episode is on whether you too should participate in a 10-day silent meditation Vipassana retreat. And while this may be a bit of a mixed bag, the large and overwhelming answer is yes. And let me tell you exactly why. For one, if you're anything like me, you love a great challenge. And if you don't realize that you love to be challenged, well, just take a look in the mirror, because life is challenging for the vast majority if you are a human being, which chances are you are if you're watching this, more than likely. But going through 10 days of silence with almost no eye contact or dialogue is not only challenging mentally, but sitting in rigid postures for up to 11 hours a day is also quite difficult. Granted, you do get a few minutes of respite in between, let's say an hour and a half sessions. And of course, what this accomplishes in terms of unearthing deep traumas and wounds and much more is profound yet difficult. However, you do come back a stronger, more amazing version of yourself when this is done, and that is something I've seen essentially across the board. So yes, indeed, there are deep traumas embedded in our body, deemed muscular armoring by Wilhelm Reich. And this is very much something we work with in the Vipassana system, because by day 3 or 4, somewhere within that range, you start advancing to not just an outer body scan meditation, if you ever participated in that, which, by the way, I will link a guided meditation in which I take you through the basic Vipassana system down below. But also, eventually, you start moving energy or waves essentially through the body. And until you actually experience this, you will not quite understand what I'm saying. But it is amazing in terms of what it can unearth. To give a little example, let's say when we're young and we're getting yelled at by an adult, and we tense up. And sometimes if this happens enough, that tension never really leaves the body. And hence, by experiencing the sensation in that area, we can actually unlock the memory. And hence why this method is so profound. Another great aspect to the Vipassana retreat is that when we start putting away our other senses, when we don't use our eyes to make eye contact or to take in too much information, when we're confined to a relatively small space, and when we do nothing essentially other than eat and meditate and eat and meditate, then we start to be able to kind of hone our senses so that every bite that you take of food, you might notice, tastes like the most wonderful thing you may ever experience. I can think back on those times right now and what I would do for that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Organic, I might add. And now each experience is going to be very unique. Though there will be overarching themes, most definitely, there is no such thing as the same occurrence happening in the totality of more than likely the whole universe. So everyone will have a slightly different experience, just as every fingerprint is different. But I can tell you in my personal case, with my senses sharpening, the experiences I had were quite literally out of this world. As in, many people wouldn't necessarily not believe me, but they wouldn't even be able to wrap their mind around what I experienced, because it's just not part of the reality. And hence, I will save you from the long list of interesting occurrences. However, what you get out of this experience, chances are, will be one of the most amazing experiences that you may have ever had. And the amount of growth you will get out of it is astronomical. Quite literally, not only is the sky the limit here, but the whole universe. So, my friends, I leave you with this. If you want to grow spiritually, but also mentally and even physically, being able to learn to relax in rigid postures, then this is most definitely for you. If you want to move through some suffering in your life and make it out the other side after a whole lot more suffering, then this Buddha-based system is for you. And that's right, this is a system apparently originally created by the Buddha himself, and it survived in Myanmar thanks to two of his monks. Now, if you want to know more, and if you like to watch the previous episode where I talk about my personal experience in the Vipassana retreat, then I'll link it below. If you're thinking about doing this or are curious about anything related to Vipassana, definitely leave a comment. I make it my priority to keep the conversation going. I hope you found this useful, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe. I wish all of you such an amazing day and an amazing week and an amazing life. Thank you, my friends.